sure they're on the outside of the patella if you want to check. Or sometimes just push them in a little bit, that's good. And we'll step to our left. And if the arms happen to be on the table, fold our hands over the lower dantian. Go inside for a few respirations to ground and center ourselves. So knees unlocked, low back relaxed, feet firmly planted on the floor, bubbling spring open. And your breath in your lower belly. Reach out and place our hands on our partner. And let your hands melt onto them. Get in touch with their breathing. And as soon as you feel their breathing, you match yours to theirs. And we'll begin rocking. Up to speed without too much delay, but we don't want it to feel like we're rushing in a hurry. Check their heels, should be moving. Your shoulders should be moving. And maybe you can see it right up to the base of the skull. And there's our signal that we've got the whole body engaged. And the left hand can work up the spine, the dumai. And we'll go all the way up to the base of the skull and then out across the far shoulder and down. Heel of your palm should be on the crest of the erectors, that inner bladder line. Get to our right hand, we'll step back, come across, and come up wide, so you're really coming up the outside, along the lateral border of the scapula into the axillary fold, and to the shoulder joint, then across the top of the shoulder, and now down on the erectors again, that inner bladder line on this side. That's the heel of your palm. Until we get back to the right hand, where the left hand takes over the rock, and the right hand just goes out along the lateral edge of the sacrum, down through the glutes, past the sit bone, onto the thighs, and straight down the back of the thigh. Branches of the bladder channel until we get to the back of the knee, the fossa, then come across to the near side, and up. Get the gluteal fold and pivot your fingers up onto the glutes and angle into the sacrum. And we're going to do it again. This time we'll lean over, get a little more downward, get a little more weight behind it. We've got a little more pressure, otherwise it's the same. All the way to Wei Zhong. Across to the near side. Our start point. And we're ready to step back, left foot, colon rock. So right hand should be on the TFL, just above the trochanter. Oh, right, let's do the body toss. So we're just fucking paddle back and forth. And then turn the left hand fingers for the head. We'll work up the mid-axillary line to that axillary fold and back down. Then change sides. Lean over and turn that hand. Fingertips point toward the head. Get up. Just slide right into the back of the axillary fold. At the end. Back down down to the bottom, and we can go back to the paddling. Okay, now we'll turn back and slide back into our fallen rock. So remembering that if there's enough space there, if you just turn your fingertips back and forth, you should fill that space without having to significantly move your hand. Okay, step up, iliac rock. Trochanter in your right hand, iliac crest in your left. Pushing down the leg toward their heel. Watch that heel, watch that foot. And then we'll stand up, lumbar rock. Starting there at the crest of the iliums. Work up to the rib cage. Now let the lower hand, the right hand, come up to the ribs. And then back down. The iliums, back up. Back down. Let that come to a halt, and we'll step around to the other side. And start with the rock. Doesn't take much to get him up to speed now. So right foot back, pull and rock. And the main push comes from the left hand, the one on the TFL there. Okay, step up, just change your angle. Hands should be in position. Iliac rock. Open up the whole pelvis, hip, low back area with this. And we'll step up, lumbar rock on this side. Pattern up and down twice. It makes a little more sense in the short form where we put more stuff in between. So we could abbreviate this to just being one big up and down. But because we're in the habit of doing it twice, maybe it's easiest to preserve that. Okay, so now we let that come to a halt. We're going to do our cross. Oh yeah, spinal rock. Thanks, Electra. Yeah, the spinal rock. So grab the spinous processes and let's work right up the spine. Somewhere around mid-back, the whole rhythm of it changes. It kind of goes from a slower sway to a kind of double time, faster shake, jiggle. But in principle, still the same idea. Just grab that spine and work it. Right up to top of the back, T1, and then we'll smooth it out and go into our crossbody stretch. Just one way, then the other, and then the third one in the middle is a little shorter. Got to get underneath the thoracic curve. Then we're going to get up on the table and do it again. power. Swing that left leg over, up by their armpit, right knee down by their hip. And we're going to palm press on the back, either side of the spine. 5 or 6 of those should do it. And we pivot our hands palm over palm, and starting on the sacrum, we'll now work up the middle. So the spinous processes are right in your palm. And this one has a few more presses than on the way down. Okay, now we're going to change feet, knees, so right foot up in the armpit, left foot, yeah, so you need to turn their head. That, and we're going to, this time when we come down, we're going to push sideways on the erectors, away from the spine. So it's your hypothenar eminence. That is your primary contact and push point. So you get down to the bottom, maybe it's more the heels of your palms. Get onto the sacrum. And we'll go back to palm over palm. We'll start on the sacrum. And then so from there, try to find the lumbosacral junction, and that'll be our first push toward your feet. So we're just pushing down toward the table, hooking on to an interspace, and then pushing that lower spinous process toward the feet. So it's kind of a hook on, and it's just that last 5% really that is the push footward. And when we're done, we dismount back to the left side. And we'll start moving. Remember to push and pull across the fibers. Form, we take a little longer, a little more time with this. Remember to go more circularly when it gets narrow between the spine and the scapula. If it gets too tight, just start to go around. We get right to the top of the back. And then if they're not too close to the top of the table, just step into the side of the table and knead from here. It's probably your best angle for the shoulder, but then we'll step around the corner and straighten out their shirt to start thumb kanbiki. Of course, if they're closer to the top of the table, you just knead the shoulders right as with the step around the corner. Okay, we get to the top of the thoracic curve. We'll step around the elbow. Left knee goes up first. Get up over them. Check your thumb alignment. Thumb tips point toward the spine. And just pick up your Kanbiki rock. Here from this side too. With the lumbars, the rock comes back all by itself. But that maybe changes the speed slightly. Right down to the sacrum. You need to go inside the PSIS, so turning your thumbs end on end gets you over the SI joint until you're below the PSIS, and then you find the edge of the sacrum, right along the edge down to about the S4 level. The rock is definitely back. You're going to palm press to stop the rock traction. Release. Step down. This time we'll stop at the top. Move up their hair, ask them to turn their head, squeeze their neck. And then continue on around. Slide down to the lumbosacral junction. Start your rock. And then pull your fingers in, start finger Kanbiki. Basically right away. Stepping headward as you need to keep your hands and your work right in front of you or in front of your dantian. More circular there at the top, or perhaps it's more elliptical. And segue right into the shoulders and knee with both hands at far side. If they're looking toward you, you can get the neck. If you can't, then we'll straddle the corner. Usually good to straighten their shirt out there, and we'll start thumb Kanbiki right there at the top of the back, about T1. You lean into your thumbs. You've got a glute angle here. Heads are just perpendicular to the slope of their upper back. that quite so well from the side. As soon as you're clear, we'll get around the elbow, right knee up this time. And make sure your thumb joints are good before you start up, before you add extra weight. Methodically working our way down, trying to get every vertebral level. As we get to the lumbars, the rock creeps back into it. Sacrum, turn your thumbs in on in. Inside the PSIS, you know you're over the SI joint. You get below the PSIS, you widen a little bit to the edge of the sacrum, and come right on down to the bottom, where we will traction just off the edge of the sacrum. Slowly release. And we're going to step up, thumbs to mid-back. We're going to do one moderate jaji line. So it's neither the light pass or the deep pass from the short form. And come back to the middle and cross over to your side and repeat. One pass. So get to L5 and T1. Pivot headward, leave your left leg on the table, step down with your right, scoop the knee up to the armpit. We're going to knee the shoulders bilaterally. Without your thumbs. Just the heel of your palm and the forefingers till your thumbs feel good. Then we'll start thumb circles. Down the crest of the erectors, inner bladder line. Comparing sides. Lean in toward their spine, so left and right thumbs are equal. So table height should be where you can stand on that right foot. Have it be flat. That's kind of our ideal. And you can slide easily that left knee leg. Your arms, hands out in front of you. Arms pretty straight throughout this. Is why you need to be able to scoot your leg back. We hit the sacrum. We go inside the PSIS again and right along the SI joint and then the edge of the sacrum down to S4. And now we'll pivot on our thumbs and lead the skin pad over the sacrum. Just a rapid squeeze points there, NTD points, NTD chain. Then we'll start at the lumbosacral junction with our skin roll. Just roll it up. And in the lumbars, it definitely works better skin on skin, but as soon as we're done with that, we can go through the clothing pretty easily. We're going to work all the way up the back to C7. Remember, your thumb tips should be together, going up the Dumai. Okay, we get there, back to the bottom. We're going to do it again. This time we're going to lever the roll upward. And see if we get some pops in the lumbar. It's the heel of your palms, the fulcrum for the lever, and for all intents and purposes, you're just lifting it straight up toward the ceiling. Okay, and we get to the top. I'll often knead there while I get my leg off the table. Then left hand, I'll do the rapid fire skin roll, the whole upper back. See if we can do that slow motion. Feels best when it's nice and quick. Really stimulates that whole upper jowl. Now we got to straighten out their shirt. We're stepping off. Left hand slides down the inside of the arm, hooks the wrist, and brings it up onto the table. Check which way they're looking. We need them looking away from us. So we'll set them up. And then both hands are going to need this shoulder. And now you can definitely get the neck with left hand. Okay, left hand, let's go first. Comes down to the wrist, which unlocks their elbow. Now the right hand is the first tricep squeeze and twist. Your right foot should be forward. Down to the epicondyle, and then we'll pivot around and follow the heart channel. Step back with the left foot. Right thumb pivots to the pisiform. And follows the heart channel out the little finger. Okay. We are ready for our stretches. So the first one is going to be the back of their hand in your palm. And we're going to push the elbow headward a few times. Loosen things up, see how much movement we've got. Start going a little faster, and we're going to add the right hand to help the push both into the table and toward the head. Lunging, use your legs. Forget to pull the hand and elbow down, get some traction. Okay, let's make that the last one, number 2. Push their elbow toward the top of the table, then let it wing out. Again, use your legs. Lunging. I put my right elbow against my torso. Pushing headward with my legs more than my arms. My arms just kind of carry her arm. It's a very loose hold that I've got. And the other thing that's important here is their thumb radius is down and their hand needs to be below their elbow. top of the shoulder and fingers support the anterior part of the shoulder. Don't let it pop out. Meanwhile, the radius is between your index and middle finger. And to stay as parallel to the spine as you can. And sometimes that's got to be pretty out here, as best you can do. Get as far as you can. Now we're going to let it down, wing it out, step up, change hands. Left hand goes to the axillary fold, and now their palm needs to be up, as is yours. And we're stabilizing with our left hand, pushing down along the axillary fold. Your thumb is just kind of hanging down, free of their armpit, but in their armpit. And now we bring it up onto the back of the axillary fold as we start to circle. We're going to work up and down that line and those key small intestine points. Your palm is still up. The palm carries the fold. And let's make the circle a little bit bigger. Now step back, change hands again. And bring it up onto their low back. Bring it down with your left hand and the small of their back. And let gravity do the first part. And we'll ask them to let their elbow go as far toward the table as they can. See what happens then. Then we're going to add the weight of our hand. And we can check in if they want more. And if they say yes, we'll add a little pressure, pushing toward the table, but not too much. Gently, progressively. Now we'll release. That hand goes to the top of the shoulder, pull down, then slide down, push in on the elbow as your left hand grabs their thumb, and we pull the hand upward. Then we'll release and bring our left knee up under to support the elbow. We're going to cradle the shoulder with our right hand, and we're going to saw along the medial border of the scapula with our left. Up to those rhomboids. Then we're going to hook on and lift and shake. Okay, if their hand's coming off, just straighten it out. Now you brace their whole side with your leg and holding on to their medial border, we're going to pull sideways. A nice stretch there, a couple of those. Okay, then we're going to get around the inferior angle and we're going to twist the scapula. Both hands working. Presses around the scapula. Get your left thumb in position and then make sure your elbows are apart. Push the shoulder on the shoulder and push the scapula up over your thumb, which goes underneath, and we'll work right up the medial border. Get to the top. We're going to change thumbs. Now the left hand pushes on the inferior angle. Right thumb along the supraspinatus, supraspinous fossa out to the V. And circle around back of the shoulder until you pick up the lateral edge of the scapula. Change thumbs. Right there at the bottom of the axillary fold, and we'll work lateral edge and around the bottom till we get back to our start point. And we could do it again, but we won't. We're just going to rest our forearm across their wrist and our right hand on the scapula. We're going to massage the infraspinous fossa. Then thumb down just inferior to the spine of the scapula for small intestine 11. Press and rotate. Then the middle finger to 12, in the supraspinatus. And the index finger down on 13 at the medial end. Then the thumb off the scapula for 14. And up and in a little bit for 15. And now we're able to isolate the trapezius and roll it between our thumb and fingers. A bit, and then we'll finish off with that same full palm circling. We'll stand up. Your left hand slides to the wrist in preparation to pull your knee out, and we'll do our tricep squeeze and twist from this position this time. And then back up to the top, we're going to pull down, push in and pull up. And taking their hand down to the side there. We'll now finish the forearm on the pericardium channel. Back, and the thumb is in the carpal tunnel. To begin, the thumb presses through the palm and out the middle finger. Okay, we're going to take the arm off the table, elbow right at the crook. We're going to sit down and knead the triceps with the duckbill hands. I'm just going to work up till we feel the acromion, and we'll head back down. Stand up, left hand pivots to the scapula, right hand finds the olecranon fossa and TB10, and we're going to press right up the middle of the back of the arm with the right hand, right thumb. Right on up until we hit the acromion. We should be right there at the angle, or maybe we're at small intestine 10. But now rotate around the angle to TB14. We'll press and jiggle back and forth there, and then we'll step up and scoop the arm up. And both thumbs now, starting there, are going to work down the middle triple burner channel and getting a little traction on the arm and shoulder in the process as we work back to the elbow and TB10. Now this time the right hand's going to slide down along the radius and scoop the wrist. Get that here. Just get around there. And now we're going to walk the arm and an elbow overhead. Get as straight overhead as we can. And now right foot back with a traction. And keep the traction with the left hand. Slide the right hand out to the fingertips and walk it to their upper back. Left hand should still be under the upper arm and elbow. And now we can just lift 3 times. Finish that, we'll wing the elbow out, put the hand down, ideally above their head. And both hands go to the scapula. We're going to flatten the armpit. And then the left hand is going to come off the acromion there, and we'll start down the large intestine channel. Is that too much for you? Come down along the large intestine channel until we get to the elbow, and LI11. Then step back and use your thenar eminence. We'll press along the radius. Just get a little bit more. And we'll get to the wrist. And sometimes you can stay with the same hand and go on out the index finger. Sometimes you can release and finish it with your right. A lot of it depends on how much table you've got there for their hand. How much you have to hold it. Okay. And we're going to take the arm back overhead and traction and vibrate. And then we'll walk sideways. More and more bounce. And we're going to drop and catch and bring it back up onto the table. And we're going to step back to the top of the table, left foot inside the table leg, right foot back. And we're going to do a palm press across the top of the shoulder. Yeah, we should have done that last. Okay, so we're here. We're going to do one more tricep squeeze and twist. Get to the epicondyle and bend the elbow so you can get all the way to the radial compartment. So right thigh is in position. Down the lung channel. Hand, left foot back, right hand to the outside of the table, left hand will finish the thumb right out to lung 11. And now we'll bring the arm in close to the table and step to the top of the table. Even out the shoulders briefly, and then we'll start our palm press across the top. Nice big hand there. And 2, 3 of those. And sit down and traction, pull the head away. Hold it. And come back up. We're going to bring both thumbs into play for our 3 lines across the top. The large intestine 16 in the V, in the crest of the trapezius. And the anterior margin. Use your legs, use that right foot, push. Large intestine 16 for the 3rd time. We'll step up, step back with the left. Position yourself so you're facing, your dantian's facing their neck. Left hand holds. We're just going to go right into our 3 lines on the neck with both thumbs and both sets of fingers stabilizing. This is just by feel. That second line should be right in the middle of the belly of the trapezius. Right up to the occiput. And back to the shoulders. 3rd line is that anterior edge. end up at gallbladder 20. That first line ended up at GV 16, and the second line went to bladder 10. Let's get back up to the top of the table, hook onto the occiput, traction. Lengthen the cervicals, then stand up, and we'll start our squeezes up the back of the head with our finger pads, not the fingertips. Good firm squeeze. And then working down back of the head behind the ear, coming around the top, and all the way around to the front. Maybe just below the zygomatic to the TMJ. Then we'll straighten out and come straight up the side of the head till we get to the ridge. Hold on there with your fingers, and we'll start the top of the head with the governing vessel with your thumbs. And get as close to the hairline as you can, then zig back. A little higher up should be the bladder line. And then working next zag closer to the ear should pick up your gallbladder one, and then the fourth one is just more gallbladder. And that should pretty much do the top of the head. We'll start now in front of the ear, following the hairline up to the top of the forehead. And then we'll work down to their eyebrows. And then wrap your right hand around the forehead, get your fingers all the way underneath. Left hand scoops up the hair and folds it into the head with your fingers pointing toward their ear. Pick up and turn. Place their head, sweep stray hairs, and leave their neck. And you could reverse the order there. We'll just pick it up at the eyebrows and work back to the hairline, just within the hairline, and we'll trace that down in front of the ear, all the way to the TMJ, and we'll just come around the top, behind the ear, then straighten out and come up the side. Hold on to the ridge, and we'll get the top with the thumbs again, governing vessel first. Our overlap, and zig back with the bladder channel, zag back with the gallbladder, and one more zig still gallbladder should cover it, and then move it rightward, and we'll pick it up at the top of the back of the head, work down to the occiput, and as I get to the occiput, step back with the right foot, right hand goes to the far side, and we get more action this time on our pulls. And right foot steps up inside the table leg, lean over, scoop their arm up onto the table, and then step back, and our right hand should be in position. But I think this is where we maybe want to switch. Okay, so we'll just... We forgot the elephant walk, and so maybe that'd be a nice thing to do for their backs as a preview. So let's be on their left side and get both arms off the table. Again, we'll climb back up, and we're right at the end of thumb kanbiki with our double palm press. Now instead of moving on, we're just going to start to alternate our palm pressure for the elephant walk. We're just going to walk right back up this side. Trying to keep the compression. up to the mid-thoracics, then we're going to start our way back down. And on the way back down, we're going to add this torquing motion. So twist the hand toward the other hand. It's at the bottom of your compression. And we don't really need to do that on the sacrum. And now we're going to keep on going, holding the traction at the side joint. We'll work down the thigh to the fossa, and then let's work back up, adding a little rock into it. All the while we keep that traction, so the PSI is right in the palm of your hand. Okay, we're back where we started. We'll slowly let the traction off. We'll step down and walk around, do the same thing on the other side, because that's not how it would flow. This is at the index and BP now on this side, but it has a nice symmetry for them. So we start with the double palm press, and then segue into the elephant walk. Up the back. And back down with torquing. Remember to don't start the torquing too soon. Get good compression. Okay, we get back to the sacrum. Let's go down with the rock first this time. Down the thigh. We get to the fossa, and then we'll come back up, just steady. Okay, and slowly letting go. This would have been then when we'd step back up and do the jaji presses right, on both sides. Okay, we're going to now go back where we were. So the arms are up on the table now. This is actually, or the left one is, we just, as we finished the traction on the occiput, we stepped up, scooped this arm up onto the table, and sliding back with the left foot, our right hand should be in position to do the presses across the top of the shoulder. 2 or 3 rows, and then end with the squatting traction, pulling on the occiput. Then we'll step up, release the occiput, and let that thumb join the other one for our double thumb version of the 3 lines across the top of the shoulder. Get under, right along that anterior edge of the trapezius for line 3, at least until you hit the clavicles, and you gotta just follow the clavicle out to large intestine 16. Okay, we'll step up, the left, step back with the right, Position your left foot usually inside the table leg, but that depends on their height. Your dantian is facing their neck. And then both hands, both thumbs are going to work the 3 lines. So that first line is right alongside the spinous processes, but then we cross into the nuchal notch, GB 15 and 16 at the very end. And second one is the middle of the trapezius body, belly body. And we get into the scalp and the attachment of the muscle. Letter 10 should be right in there, and then the third line. So normally we should have maybe 5-6 presses to get to the occiput, so they're not very far apart. Thumbs got plenty of overlap. We end at gallbladder 20. We'll step up with the right, step overhead with the left. And the right one inside. We're going to now do the 3 lines bilaterally. So we're back to the short form version where we've got to use the thumbs individually on the 2 sides. Essentially the same 3 lines. Posterior, crest, and anterior. As you're pushing off your left foot this time, always changing feet, change position. We'll step up and put our thumbs on either side of T1. With me, okay? We'll start the Daji line. Either side of the spine, 5 presses, approximately to T5, and come up and out. Thumb tips point toward the spine. Thumb pads fit the intercostal spaces. 5 presses on the inner bladder line. To the top of the thoracic curve, or T5, and then up and out. Thumbs point headward again, and we're going to trace along the medial border of the scapula, the outer bladder line, 5 presses. And then we're going to do the press and flick. Randomly getting those 3 lines in that whole space. Nice bounce back. We'll finish that with our palms down, and we're going to do the elephant walk down the back bilaterally. You have to get up on your tiptoes here. Get all the way down to the iliums, and then we're going to step back and be more parallel to their spine, pushing on the iliac crest, alternating, watching their heels. Traction on the pelvis and those legs. Then I put my left hand into the center and hold while I stand up and stroke up along the governing vessel with the right. Slowly letting go, and we step to our right. We're going to pivot around and knee to the shoulder with both hands. And we can get the neck with the right. Okay, and then we'll segue into our first tricep squeeze and twist. Around the epicondyle and palm press the heart channel. Step back with your right foot. Left thumb at the pisiform picks up where we left off. Looks right on out to heart 9. And we're going to go into our shoulder girdle stretches. Start easy, just sliding along. Now this is a bad shoulder, isn't it?
No.
Oh, I thought it was just... So I can be relentless on this. Getting more and more stretch, more and more push headward, but still just with the one hand. And we're going to add the other hand. And it mostly helps hold the elbow flat along the plane of the table. And at the top, we let the hand and wrist flop off to let them out of the stretch. Don't forget the traction. Pull them all the way back down. And now into number 2. So brace your left elbow into your torso and use your legs to get the power for this. So radius is down, thumb is down, hand a little lower than the elbow. You're mostly on the outside of the elbow, pushing it toward the spine, but you're also pushing it headward, obviously. And arc it laterally. Sometimes you gotta hook your thumb over to the medial epicondyle to kind of help get that started. Okay, into number 3. Left hand wraps around the top of the shoulder. Radius between your forefinger and middle finger. Your palm is up, their palm faces their spine. Last one of those. Bring it down completely out of the stretch. Bring it around to the side. As we step up, the right hand goes to the axilla and we start to lever this way. Your palm is up, their palm is up. Until the end, it's facing their spine again. Stabilizing the shoulder with the right hand, so you're really pushing down there. Keep it from riding up. Thumb is relaxed, just hanging down in their armpit. We're now going to go into, bring your thumb up onto the axillary fold and we'll start the circles. Pressing up that line of points, small intestine 9 to 10 with the extra point in the middle. And we'll work up and down a few times. And maybe play around with the size and speed of the circle. Bigger, a little slower. And now we're done. We're going to slide back. Put it in your right hand. Left hand unlocks the elbow as the right hand drags it up to their low back. Bring it down. Gravity stretch. Ask them to let it go toward the table as far as they can. Add the weight of our hand. Check that that's okay and ask them if they want more. We'll push that elbow gently but progressively toward the table. It takes a little bit of time. It's surprising how far they can go. Slowly release it and bring that hand up to the top of the shoulder. Pull down, push in on the elbow as you pull up on their thumb, and relax, and we'll get our right knee up onto the table to support their elbow. And we're going to scoop our left hand underneath their shoulder. We're going to saw along the medial border of the scapula. And then we'll lift and shake. their side with the full length of your leg, not just your knee. And we'll pull laterally. And then we're going to twist. Okay. Now we're going to start our thumb presses. Make sure your elbows are out 180 degrees apart. We work right up along that medial board of the scapula, pushing underneath. Both hands are pushing equally. We get to the top, change thumbs, and come across the top with the left thumb, pushing on the inferior angle with the right palm. Get the large intestine 16 and over the spine of the scapula and down until the other thumb can reach up. Continue along the lateral border. And come right around the inferior angle back to our start point. We're going to rest our forearm across their wrist. Left hand is going to circle scapula, mostly focused on the infraspinous fossa, where we're now going to put our thumb just below the spine of the scapula, approximately small intestine 11. And middle finger at small intestine 12 in the middle of the supraspinatus. And at the medial end is 13 with the index finger. Now the left thumb up to 14. Press and rotate up and in a little bit to 15. Press and rotate. So those are around the levator. And now we can isolate the trapezius between our thumb and fingers and roll. Really get into it. Kind of pinch it up, roll it up, and then we'll finish with that rod circling again as we stand up and going from your forearm to your hand, getting ready to pull our knee out, and that'll take us into our tricep squeeze and twist number 2. So we've got some more leverage here. Sometimes you got to be a little careful and let their hands slide there. But now, before we do that, we're going to pull down, push in, and pull up again, that same stretch. Hopefully we get a little more mileage, and now we'll carry the arm all the way down to the table. And we could repeat the tricep squeeze and twist there, and then finish off with the pericardium channel. Right foot back, left thumb into the carpal tunnel, and through the middle of the palm, and out the middle finger. Right hand can hold the other fingers out of the way as necessary. This time we're pulling it off the table and sitting down so we can duckbill the triceps and the 3 arm yang channels. I'm just going to go up and down, so it's a brief sit, and we'll turn. Right hand goes to the lateral edge of the scapula. Left thumb's going to work, starting there at TB10 in the olecranon fossa. We're going to work right up the middle of the back of the arm. And I do the thumb across the channel because sometimes it's a little too intense. We should end at the acromion right there, either at small intestine 10 or at the corner, the angle. We're going to loop around the corner to TB14 and kind of jiggle our thumb back and forth to stimulate that point. Then we can step up, change feet, and use both thumbs, picking up right there at the angle of the acromion, working down bilaterally, or not bilaterally, but two thumbs, and getting a little bit of traction on the arm too. Back to TB10. Okay, step up. Your left hand comes down along the radius and scoops it up. Your right hand there has the elbow will walk hand overhead, rolling the elbow underneath, and step back, traction. Pull with both hands and just hold on with the right. Left one slides out to the fingertips. Walk the hand, your hand, and their fingertips to their upper back. And then lift at the elbow to stretch the shoulder and the triple burner channel 3 times. So angles are important here. And we'll wing the elbow out, put the hand directly overhead first. Maybe it needs to be a little wider on some people. And we'll do the shoulder flattening. And I often try to have my tiger's mouth right there at the acromion, that articulation. And then we'll start down the large intestine with the heel of our palm of our right hand from the shoulder to the elbow. And large intestine 11, then we'll just pivot and continue on the radius down to the wrist, and that's your hypothenar eminence, probably doing the bulk of the pressing. Not the hypothenar, I'm watching Santiago here, your thenar eminence. So switching it the other way, see if you can turn the, yeah, I think you generally get better that way. Okay, so now the left hand can come into play and finish off the channel. I'm sorry. And then we'll just straighten the arm out. Get it back overhead again. And we can hold the hand or the fingers and get a little vibration, and then walk in it sideways. It gets looser and floppier, and we're going to drop and catch with your right hand. Bring it up onto the table, and our final tricep squeeze and twist on this side. And pivoting around, get your left thigh in place. Our arm is right at the edge of the table, so you can reach all the way into the radial compartment and the lung channel. As we get to the hand, step back. Left hand pivots to the outside of the wrist and hand and table, and the right thumb will finish the lung channel, starting at the base of the thumb, ending at 11. And this time we take the arm off the table again. Drape it there, reach across, do the same with the other arm. And left knee up on the table. And the right foot around and stand up. And they're ready to change their head. We'll sometimes do it spontaneously. We'll start with our palm press on the upper back. Body toss back up. scapula. Straighten their clothing out. And we're going to start with our jaji presses. And you don't want to start too high, but start as high as you think you can. So maybe T2. And we'll start working with the breathing on their exhale. Work down the jaji line. We hit L5 in the lumbosacral junction, and we'll just keep going with the bladder points in the foramen, 31 through 34. We should have 4, maybe 5 more presses there, and then palm press alongside the sacrum, and body toss. Up. And straighten out their shirt. Ask them if they want to turn their head. And we're ready for the inner bladder line now. We want to start at about T3. So guesstimate that, slide out to the scapula, should be about the narrowest. Halfway back should put us over the crest of the erectors. Jiggle a little bit up and down, find the nearest intercostal space. Thumb tips point toward the spine this time. And let's all breathe in together. And on the exhale, we'll squat. Sit bones toward your heels. And trying to catch every intercostal space. So this first couple we don't have real good leverage, but after that your dantian's pretty much right over your thumbs. If you feel like you miss one, just stay there. Don't go down to the next breath. Back as you need to. Remember, just 1 foot per respiration. You can even stay in that triangulated position. Everybody's got the same number of vertebrae, so height doesn't change things very much there, but the rhythm of the breathing can. So as we hit the PSIS, we've got 4 more points along the SI joint and the edge of the sacrum. Sometimes it feels like a 5th is necessary. We'll double palm press again to finish that line, and then body toss way up. Smooth their shirt out. Ask them if they want to turn their head. So good? Okay, and this time the thumbs point toward the head again for the outer bladder line. At least for the first few, till the scapula kind of wings out. Then sometimes you can turn sideways, but you've got to roll onto the side of your thumbs for that to work. Those intercostal spaces are so narrow. PSIS and down mid-glutes all the way to the ischial tuberosity this time. And that point right at the gluteal fold is bladder 50. And we'll step back up and do our squat side joint. And dismount, shift to the left foot, keep your right hand on the sacrum. Heel behind your left heel, then step down with your left foot first. Bring the right one up, swing around. Both hands on the sacrum, we start the percussion. Establish your rhythm, then drift out to the side, all the way out to the TFL, and up. Out to the deltoid and upper arm, at least with your right hand, and come across. Same thing with the left hand. Stepping up, cross over and form your crane beaks. And we'll go up the crest of the erectors. Across the top of the shoulder, both sides, and back in and down the crest of the erectors, that inner bladder line on this side. We're going to make all 5 finger pads one pad, all the way down to S4, bottom of the sacrum, and of course, raindrops. Inside their elbow and hang across. Butt flex. They're starting at S4, right up to erectors on both sides. Simultaneously, tee out across the top of the shoulders together. Go Go back and forth a couple of times there. And start back down. Up. Palms together, land on the sacrum, and we'll start going clockwise. Smaller diameter circle on the way up, so it's the inner bladder line is our focus. At the top of the shoulders, best you can, and widen your circle, and we'll come back down counterclockwise, focused on the outer bladder line. Time, be thorough. Get back to the sacrum, and we start to slow it down and bring it to a definite halt. Stepping up, and roll over, rock. Come up to speed, and thumbs down. We'll press and rock to just inside the PSIS. Along the edge of the sacrum, the bottom, back up. And left foot back, come across the PSIS and start your lateral lines. From above the other, come all the way out to the midline and swing back to the edge of the sacrum. Line 2, line 3. Line 4. And hopefully we feel the trochanter. Thumbs in a V, come down the gallbladder channel, walking that right foot down to their knee level. Stand up, facing the knee, and start our duckbill, squeeze and lift and rock. Up to the gluteal fold, back down. To the epicondyles and back up. Gluteal fold, and we'll pivot. Right hand down, left hand on top, pushing off the right toes. Palm press. Keep firm pressure all the way down till you get close to the knee, lighten up. But bring it all the way to the fossa. And the fist press starts there at the gluteal fold. Turn. Slide your right hand to the heel, traction and push out. Put your elbow down at bladder 50 and sink. See if you can feel the hamstrings separate. You're going to come right down the middle. Follow your own breathing. Taking it all the way to the middle of the popliteal fossa, Wei Zhong. And back up to the top, slightly medially. Picks up a different branch, the other side of that hamstring. And this time as we come down, we'll end up in the medial dimple, kidney 10. Come up and out the other side of the hamstring, and this time this line will end at ladder 53/39. And we're going to step up, forearm across all three. Yes, we're going to press. Integrate the two. Still got a little traction on the heel. May need to turn your hand. And we're going to press and roll. And start with the palm down. Roll till palm is up. Kind of ironing this out. Okay, then we're going to release the traction on the heel. Bring that hand to the middle of the forearm and help the roll. So, a slow roll. Still. And then the last one will be the quick roll. Okay, we'll stand up. And we're gonna pump work those 3 points at the knee. So kidney 10, ladder 54 and 53. So Wei Zhong and Wei Yang. Kidney 10 is Yingu. Back and forth a couple of times at least, so we do a good job with all those points. And so while you're pumping. Okay, and the last one, we'll take that hand out. We're going to step back and pump and rotate. Do the clockwise circling. Pressure on the knee with the right hand, on the tibia with the left hand. And now we're going to change hands. Right hand slides up to the ankle, left hand goes to the toes. Push the heel toward the glutes and the toes. And we're going to let go first with the right, then the left, and catch. Step up and shake. And then the fast shake. And we'll rotate the ankle. Put the palm on the ball of the foot. And then rotation both directions. One way definitely is easier there. And we'll finish then stepping back. The tiger's mouth is right there at the edge of the toes. Left and left, and we'll tap the heel with one hitchhiker. Along the outside of the foot, across the ball, and up the inside medial arch, back to the heel. We'll rotate around a couple, 3 times. Check their reflexes. And we'll step up and cradle the foot like so. Create that tap, we'll lift and dangle and start our bounces. Just trying to loosen the whole lower extremity, low back, iliopsoas. Everything gets worked. It's getting progressively more until we feel like we're ready for the final 3 stretches. First one, aim toward the head. And put it down. Second one, straight up through the ceiling. And third one, away with traction, and put it down. Right hand comes around to the bottom of the foot. Pick up left hand under the knee. Left foot forward. We'll go into our frog leg. Stretch. They roll their hip. Get that knee all the way up into the armpit. And check here. So you're arm is basically an extension of their leg. Right? And when you come back, you need to slide back and get some good traction. Okay, last one. We're just going to relax to 90 degrees and put the knee rested against your thigh. Right hand got the foot and you're kind of rolling the sole toward the table. Left hand goes to the gluteal hollow. Gallbladder 30, we'll press and rotate. And then we'll palm press down the IT band, gallbladder channel. So, kind of support their knees so you don't push the inside of their thigh into the corner of the table. We're going to do this 3 times generally. In a pinch, you just do it once or twice. But since we're just rehearsing, we'll do all 3. So that second press, the trochanter is right in the center of your palm. This time we get to the knee, we're just going to pivot the fingers toward the foot and follow the fibula down. That should be right in your carpal tunnel, all the way to the malleolus. And we're going to relax the knee a little bit so we can get our fingers behind the knee. Your thumb finds gallbladder 34, and we're going to rock back and forth across it so we get the anterior and the posterior locations. And work down the fibula this way. Fingers braced against the back of the calf. Get all those gallbladder points, both anterior and posterior to the fibula. Do the best you can at the bottom, and then we'll pick it up with the right thumb at gallbladder 40 and finish the channel and the foot right on out to the lateral nail point on the 4th toe, gallbladder 44. And then we're ready to pick the knee and the foot up and bring it all the way up to vertical. Change hands, get the right hand underneath the thigh on the inside. Left hand's going to go to the edge of the sacrum and up on your toes, lift and lower. So stabilizing the pelvis, holding it down, pushing it down. We'll do a few of these, and for many people that's enough, but for some people it's not. We'll get up onto the table and continue. Same basic idea, but we get a little more stretch, so thinking iliopsoas. And now a little variation on this, if you like, is bring your hand up more into the small of the back and the quadratus. And we can work that SI joint. A little bit there. Okay, putting it down, we get down, and I just let the foot kind of fall through my arm there. Left hand reaches around, cradles the patella, make sure it's out of the way, and then we'll start our duck fills on the calf. We could have taken the pillow out, but let's go ahead and do it with the pillow in. Let's just down and back up. And now we'll take the pillow out from this side. Straddle the corner of the table and go into our butterfly press. Oh yeah, we got that little variation. So now the heel is in the center of your palm. We're going to rock with the right hand, and the left hand works down. First one, head, Doesn't matter inside or outside first. And the other head of the gastroc. And as we get a little more practice, we'll go down the middle. And now we'll step around the corner of the table and do our butterfly. Behind the malleoli, kidney 3 and bladder 60, and back up to the dimples. Thumbs point headward, then wing your elbows out, turn your thumbs across the fibers of the gastroc and work down medial and lateral branches. Bladder channel. Thumb pads right behind the malleoli. Back to wage zone, thumb over thumb, top thumb pressing, bottom thumb buffer. Work between the two bellies, the main pathway of the bladder channel. East to the bottom of the gastroc, and then we just stay with the Achilles. Work straight on down till we hit the calcaneum. Separate your thumbs and lean forward. Get a couple of good presses on the back of the heel for the insertion. Then we'll pivot around, and left hand is going to claw press the heel from the arch to the very back of the heel, back. Maybe a couple, 3 times. You can use your fingernails here. That usually feels good. Then we'll step around and step back and start our 5 lines on the arch. So it's just between the heel and the ball this time. So these don't take nearly so much time, but the principle is the same. So it should be your right foot that's back and pushing and stepping rightward as you need to keep your line right in front of you. So line 3 will end at bubbling spring. Okay, then thumb's going to press horizontally across the ball of the foot. You can probably go either way. Well, we can alternate. Okay, at this point we want to change feet and remove the pillow altogether. And we'll do the right hand to the right foot. We'll do our palm press. 3 places in the fist press, heel, arch, ball and toes. Then repeat 1 of those. I usually go back to the palm press, I must confess. Okay, so I think we want to maybe switch here again, and we're going to cup the heels, brace your forearms, traction, and let go. 3 or 4 of those. Watch their head. So you can see that it shoots all the way back up the bladder channel. Then we'll step up and step to our right. We'll come all the way up to the waist. And we'll rock. Just briefly get them up to speed. Then right foot back, colon rock light. rock. And step up. Sacrum press and rock. Thumbs. Down and back up. So that should be inside the PSIS. Now the right foot goes back again. And we slide over the PSIS and out to this side. Trying to follow the rim and gluteal attachments. Four lines. Feel the trochanter, thumbs in a V. Work down the gallbladder channel, left foot walking down to your bare knee. Slide the right foot in and up. And we'll start our duck bill. Comfortable on the toes. Right up to the gluteal fold and back down. So remembering that without the pillow there, it rocks a little bit differently, and you gotta control that. Make sure it's okay, and if they're really up on their toes, we can always put the pillow back in. So pivot headward, left hand down, right hand on top. Start our palm presses. Not the left toes. Tightening up as we get behind the knee or close to the knee. Then back up to the top. It's the fist press. So knuckles should be right there at the gluteal fold. We're coming right down the middle. Make sure it's not a tight fist. Fingers are out on the heel of your palm. Thumbs out on the side of the knee. Okay, pivot footward. Left hand goes to the heel. Right elbow drops into position. And follow your own breathing. Going right down the middle. First pass. Just like we do in short form. Weight away joint. And up into the inside. Pick up that branch of the bladder channel. And follow it all the way down to the medial dimple, which is actually our kidney point. And up and out the lateral line. This one goes to the lateral dimple, bladder 53 or 39. And forearm across all three lines. Press and integrate. We'll just bring that, let go with the hand, and we'll just start the rolls. Slow roll. Palm down to palm up. Back up to the top and do a quick roll. Your hands in the middle of your upper forearm. Your forearm spans their thigh, so your hand is in effect in the middle of their thigh. And standing up, pick up the ankle and lever. Press pressing those points on the popliteal crease. Go back and forth a couple of times. You got to press in there because the folding of the knee sends those points deeper. But you can really get in there. You can follow them in with your fingertips. Now we'll step back, change hands, and rotate. This time it's counterclockwise. Pushing the heel, so a little bit outside the glutes and then across. Usually what we want. Good stability at the knee with the left hand. Good workout. And then we're going to change hands. Left hand to the ankle, right hand to the toe. Push the heel to the buttocks. Then plantar flex. Then release and catch. Step up and do the soft shake. And thumbs up on the lateral calcaneum, the quick shake and vibrate. And we'll relax and rotate the foot, heel the palm on the ball. Get a nice range of motion. Try the other way. Reverse it again. Get maybe a strong dorsiflexion or two. Then step back, slide the tiger's mouth right to the base of the toes. Right hand will be the hitchhiker. And we start on the heel. Cross the ball back to the heel. So up the outside of the foot, back toward the heel on the medial arch. Finish that, we'll step up and create the funnel with your hand. Get down in your horse stance. Keep your low back straight. Lift and dangle and drop and bounce. And gradually working the foot higher and higher. Playing around with it. And the last three stretches. First one headward. And put it down. Second one straight up to the ceiling. Put it down. Third one footward. Strong traction. And put it down. Stand up. Left hand hits the bottom of the foot. Right hand. I usually pick up to get under the knee. And we'll lunge forward with the right foot. Our frog leg stretch. Don't forget the traction at the back end. Rock back on that right foot. Lunge. Left foot. Lunge into the right foot. And get that knee all the way up into the armpit. Or 8 of these, and we'll relax into the right angle. Get your right thigh underneath their knee. Left hand rolls is on gallbladder 41. You roll the foot toward the table. Right hand goes into the gluteal hollow, gallbladder 30. Press and rotate. Get that whole area. Then we'll start down the gallbladder channel on the thigh with IT band right in your carpal tunnel. Even though it's wide, it still feels. So yeah, we'll do this 3 times. The longer their leg, the more that knee sticks out, the more you have to protect it from the edge of the table. So, in an ideal world, we do this 3 times in in a less than ideal world, just 2 or even 1. But now at the end of 3, we're just going to pivot our fingers toward the heel and continue down the leg. So the fibula now is in your carpal tunnel, and we'll take it all the way to the lateral malleolus. Then relax the knee a little bit so you can get your fingers behind it. Thumbs find the head of the fibula and gallbladder 34. We're going to rock back and forth and work our way down. So we get both the anterior and the posterior gallbladder channel. And we'll get right to the malleolus as close as we can, then change thumbs, pick it up at gallbladder 40, and thumb walk out to gallbladder 44. Okay, and pick it up, left hand to the inside for your cradle, right hand to the edge of the sacrum and up on your tiptoes. Traction. Stabilizing the pelvis with the right hand, so you're really leaning into that hand, stretching the iliopsoas. And many people that's sufficient, but a lot of people it's not. But to do more, we got to get up on the table. We'll just get up and continue. And then the option here is to move your hand up to their low back and work the side joint and the quadratus. Kidneys, get a little more psoas, and put it down, and step down. Right hand comes around to the inside, cradles the patella, and put the leg down. If you need the pillow, of course you put it back in. We'll see if we can do that. We're going to do the duckbills first. Down and back up. And then we got the new version. So the heel is in the middle of your left palm, and your rock there, and the right hand presses and rocks down. First one head, the gastroc, and the other. Through the heel of your palm, and then down the middle. And a lot of times that does work better with the pillow in, but it's too much in and out. Okay, step around the corner of the table, and we're ready for our butterfly. Last press, the eminences behind the malleoli, back to the dimples. Thumbs are pointed headward for the first press, which is relatively light there at kidney 10 and bladder 53. And then we'll rotate the elbows out and come down the two bellies. With the thumbs across the fibers. And there's a good amount of space between your thumb tips, leaving room for your next press. Of course, they get closer together as we converge at the bottom, but they're separated by the Achilles. All the way to kidney 3 and bladder 60. Back to weight zone, bladder 54, 40, thumb over thumb, coming down the middle. Gentle, just firm arm levering with the top thumb, bottom thumb a buffer. And stay on top of the Achilles all the way till you hit the calcaneum, then separate your thumbs, lean forward. A couple of good solid presses on the back of the heel, then we'll pivot. And we're going to take your left hand to stabilize the toes, so that can be over the end of the table. You're going to claw press the heel. Three times is probably enough. Then we'll step around and do our 5 lines on the arch. So this time it's your left foot back. Just from the base of the heel to the beginning of the ball. Stepping leftward as you need to. Line 3 ends at bubbling spring. Line 5 ends at the base of the big toe. Okay, then thumb pressing laterally across the ball of the foot. That third line right there at the base of the toes. Okay, stepping up, changing feet. Left hand goes back to the left foot. We're going to palm press. Fist press. And this time we'll pinch the lateral edge. Get back to the little toe. Which will isolate, press and rotate. Pushing it into the table. If there's room. Get your thumb aligned along the axis of the toe and work from the base of the toe all the way out to the pads. Kind of circular motion. When we get to the big toe, we'll start with the liver side, then come down the middle. And then the spleen side. Then we're ready to change feet again. Palm press. Fist press. Of course, on a longer foot, you could do 4 presses. Then we're going to thumb press bubbling spring. And step up. Cover, go inside. And we'll focus on bubbling spring. Focus on your bubbling spring too. Should be about shoulder width. Your knees are unlocked. Your low back is relaxed and open. Spring is the connection to the earth energy, yin energy. We're going to follow it up through the legs to their lower dantian. About 3 respirations there. You can feel them breathing. Imagine that. And then we'll head on up to the top of their head and vibrate. Connection to the celestial realm, source of the yang. Cluster of points around vibrate that we press in the long corner. We'll head back down on vibrate, along the yang, down to the lower dantian. From the dantian back to Yongchuan. step to our left. Right hand on the sacrum. And we'll catch them awake. And ask them to come up in turtle. Do they bring their pillowcase with them, or left hand's got the shirt tails, and we'll lift up and go underneath the lower half of the back. Hugging the spinous processes, your index and middle finger in the Jaji Valley. Then we'll come out and do the upper back. And then we'll try to get the whole back all the way from the lumbosacral junction to C7. Last one, we'll step up and duckbill the neck. Moving up and down if you can, depends on the length of the neck. We're going to then step to the top of the table, and rest our forearms on the table, hook onto the occiput, traction. And then move up to the ridge, traction there. Stepping to our left, we'll go from this side. Finishing with some slides in the base of the skull there. Rolling the skin up. And we'll slide down to the sacrum. And we're going to press with our forearm and elbow in that Jaji Valley. Just with one, switch arms the other way. We'll come all the way up to the top of the shoulder, and with the back of your arm, triceps will pull down on the shoulder. And then let's just pick a couple places where we'll press a little bit more, and we'll then lever. Lever and waggle. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. A couple of slides first, just to kind of warm things up. And I like to get that shoulder there. And then we'll work that tight area. Lever the olecranon into those points. Don't make it too sharp. And then we'll lever and waggle our circle. Out one more time, and then we'll sit them up from this side this time. Okay,